So what has been quite contentious for COP this year is that it's being held in one of the oil capitals of the world. And some people think that's not a good idea to host COP there. Some people think if you want to fix the problems have to be part of the solution. So we need to get those countries involved. I'm not here to debate that for you, but what I want to just point out, which is why I've added these slides, is that regardless of if you believe in climate change or you have a government or a country that doesn't really believe in it or doesn't really care about it, climate change will affect you regardless. So this was taken in Dubai, which is in the United Arab Emirates. These pictures were taken 3 days ago because of flooding. So you can see on the right, that's the airport completely flooded. That's the sort of downtown in Dubai that's flooded. And if you think about Dubai, I don't know if anybody's ever been there, potentially not. But when I think of Dubai, and I've never been, I think of deserts, I think of heat, and I think of, sandstorms and things like that, as well as high-rise skyscrapers and things like that. But I don't think of flooding. And that's what happens during climate change. You have these extreme weather events, okay? So this is one of the first times that this has ever happened in the United Arab Emirates. And if we're bringing it closer to home, I don't know if there's anybody calling in from Argyll and Butte area, but a couple months ago, you might remember Storm Babbitt. Anyone remember that? Remember what you were doing or what you saw? Yeah. Yeah, there was some quite big storms. I think it was probably less than 2 months ago now. But there was one school in particular that really, really got affected by this. And this is where climate change is starting to have an impact on daily lives of everyone, regardless. Scotland's famous for rain, but we got so much rain that there was so many landslides on the road that it cut off an entire community from their school. So you can see on the map here, from the road that was cut off, if they went on the other road, it would take a 2.5-hour journey one way. So they've had to get help from local fishermen and local Coast Guard to help ferry them to school every day. And this might sound exciting, but they have to get up at the absolute crack of dawn to get on this boat to go. So it's not all fun on a boat every day. And they've got to do this for 6 weeks. Okay, so this is the sort of impacts that we're seeing in our day-to-day lives of climate change already. And I'm sure you can think back to the beast from the east, to Storm Arwen. It seems like every other day there's a storm somewhere in the country that's affecting someone. And we've got to think what we can do about that. So that's sort of what COP's all about. COP's all about how can we fix this? What can we do? And that's from a government level. But what Ali and I want to look at today with you is how we can bring that to your level. How can we bring that so that students, you guys in your classrooms right now, can leave here and think, what can we do to have a better impact on the world in terms of our carbon emissions so that this doesn't get any worse? Okay, so we're going to do a very quick 1-question quiz right here. So what do you think is the biggest source of emissions in Scotland right now? If we've got 5 options for you to pick. So I want you to talk about it in your class, and your teacher can type which they think is the highest source of emissions generated in Scotland from these 5 topics. So we've got transport, farming, homes, energy, and waste. Miss Johnson, right in there with transport. Anyone got any other views? I feel like I need a countdown clock or something. Transport. Yeah, very quick. On the ball. Got some other quick ones as well, though. I struggled with this, I have to say. I wasn't sure. We've got the answer on the next page, though, so don't worry. Transport. Okay, it seems to be quite everybody seems to be saying the right answer, or the similar answer. Half the class also think energy. Well, transport from Mr. McAllister's class. Okay, well, let's have a look. If we go on to the next page, those who said transport were absolutely correct. Okay. Now, what's very important to remember with this graph, which kind of makes it even stronger for transport, is that these figures don't include flying outside of the UK or shipping things in by plane or by boat or anything. It's kind of like if you take a bubble and you put it over Scotland, that's the sort of emissions that it takes from transport. Okay, so don't worry too much about the numbers. But what you can see from that is transport is very, very big compared to the rest. And I think it was Miss Johnson's class. If you, and we've got another one there for energy. See if you had said energy maybe 20 years ago, you probably wouldn't have been far off. I think energy probably would have been second. But what do you think has changed in the last 20 years to make energy go down and down? And this was from 2018, actually. So if we get we couldn't find the updated graph, but if you do look at the updated graph, energy is even less. Clean energy, exactly. Any specific kind of clean energy that you can think in the last 20 to 30 years that's happened in Scotland that you see a lot more? We hear about wind, yes. Lots of wind turbines all over the place, both on land and at sea. Solar panels, yeah, absolutely. 30 years ago, you couldn't see a solar panel on a house. We've got turbines, yeah, hydroelectric. They've been around for a long time, but they're in more use, smaller versions now for smaller communities. Absolutely. Great. You guys know so much. Well done. So moving on, what we're going to do now, so now that we know that transport is the biggest emitter in Scotland, we're going to figure out how you all get to school. Okay, so you might remember this from doing the hands up survey not too long ago. But what we just want to figure out in your class right now, and I'm going to take this on average. So what do you do normally? It's not a case of, I take the car once a week, I take the bus twice a week, that sort of thing. Just put your hand up for what you think you do most throughout your school life. Okay. And I'd quite like the teachers, if they could you type in the chat how many in your class travel to school by car on average, by bus on average, or by walking, wheeling, and cycling on average? And what we're going to do when Ali's onto the fun stuff, I'm going to be in the background working out my percentages and maybe cheating with Google to figure out how everybody gets to school in their various travel methods. Okay, so we've got 9 out of 16 by car. Some of this is totally dictated to by if you live in a rural school, if you live in a city, if you live in a more, a town and things like that. So there is no judgment whatsoever. 6 none walking, 4 F6 walk. 12 car, 1 bus, 7 walk, 2 cycle. Maybe you could have a look in the chat as well and see how other schools or classes get to school in general. I bet you'll see big differences between potentially rural schools and urban schools in towns and cities. Ooh, quite a split, Miss McFarland. Oh. No transport, home educated. Interesting. I think we can call that walking. You've got to walk from the kitchen to your desk. That's walking to me. 8 travel by car and 6 walk. Very cool. Very short school run, yeah. Yeah, very short. 4 bus, 5 car rural school. It's really interesting to see. the sort of split everyone has. Really interesting. So if you want to keep doing that, that's great. And what we're going to do, I'm going to try and calculate these up now, and we'll have a look at the end of the session. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to hand over now to Ali, who's going to do some slightly more fun stuff with you. Okay, over to you, Ali.
Hello. So I feel like you've overhyped that a wee bit, Jamie. So before we get on to we're going to play a wee game a wee bit later on, but I'm going to talk a bit more. So we've kind of talked about different causes of emissions and things like that with Jamie, but we're going to delve into active travel now. So active travel is a wee bit of a technical term. So I'm going to give you a few clues, and I wonder if you can pop in the chat either some examples of active travel or what you think active travel might mean. And Jamie, you can just shout it out if you see anybody popping anything in the chat.
Yep, no worries. Everybody's furiously typing, I can see. Bike, scooter, skateboard, cycle, walk, traveling without a roof on your head. Ooh,
I like that, traveling
I
without a
know.
roof on your head. So yeah, you kind of nailed it there. So active travel is getting from one place to another using your body to power you. So you're not using fuel like diesel or petrol. You are either wheeling or walking or scooting, skateboarding, cartwheeling, anything where you're using your body to get from one place to another. So with that in mind, and I'll give you another couple of clues here, why do you think it might be good to travel actively? What do you think are some of the benefits? Pogo sticking, I love that.
We do the Daily Mail to counteract the lack of activity from Carbridge. Keeps you fit from
Yeah,
Caldercult to get fitness and health up. That's from Isaac.
perfect.
We've
You've cracked my clues very quickly. So yeah, and I like that, keeps you happy as well. So yeah, the benefits are it's obviously got good benefits for your physical health, but also it has lots of benefits for your mental health. So it can help boost your mood, relieve stress, and studies have actually shown that people who travel actively to and from school or to and from work have higher concentration levels for up to 4 hours after they get to school, which is basically from when you arrive at school to lunchtime, which is quite impressive. So it really helps you just go about your day, which is quite good. But aside from the health benefits, we're obviously here talking about COP28, so I'll give you a few more clues. Why else do you think it might be good to travel actively? And if anyone can crack the jam riddle, I'll be very impressed. Yep, so we've got no emissions. That's absolutely right. So if you're traveling actively, you are not producing any extra emissions. You're obviously still breathing, so you're producing your carbon dioxide by breathing, but you're not burning fossil fuels, so you're not producing those sorts of emissions. And I'll just, there we go, no traffic jams. So if everybody travelled actively, there would be fewer traffic jams. I'm very impressed that you got that. And that would make lots of people happy. So we've talked about the serious side of things, the health benefits, the lack of emissions, but there are other benefits, it's just a fun thing to do. You can have adventures with your friends, get to places you can't get to by car. But if there are so many benefits, then surely everybody would choose to travel actively if they could, right? Well, for a lot of people, they face different barriers to either accessing active travel or different reasons for choosing not to travel actively. So in your classes just now, I am going to give you a couple of minutes. If you can think of either something that's affected you directly, or if you can just think about other people and why they might not be able to access active travel or why they might be choosing not to travel actively. You put your hand up and tell your teacher, and we'll get your teachers to type it in the chat. Now, when I say barriers, I don't mean an actual like barrier coming down. I just mean reasons or things that are stopping people from being able to travel actively. So I'll give you a couple of minutes, and then whilst your teachers are furiously typing into the chat, we'll delve into a few different examples, and then if there are some other examples that we haven't touched on, maybe get Jamie to shout out.
So we live too far away, too far away. There's no cycle routes to use, the first three. The bus service is very limited.
So this is where you were talking a wee bit earlier, Jamie, about the difference between living in a rural place and living in a city. This will definitely have a big impact on the way that people choose to travel or are able to travel.
There's some good ones here. If you have big musical instruments to carry, from Isaac.
Ah,
We've
that's a good one.
I know.
Cello players.
No, no tubas. We've got distance, we've got physical disabilities, we've got cost and time. Really good answers there from Miss McFarlane's class. We would love to have electric buses to hop on and off from Carbridge, Miss Brown's class.
Brilliant. I'm going to delve into a few before you mention all of them. So I think this one's kind of been covered, but this example is basically if you wanted to get somewhere, maybe it's school, maybe it's a cinema, and let's say you live 5 miles away from that place. That'll be a wee bit too far to walk or to scoot or wheel if you want to do anything else that day, because it's going to take quite a long time to get there, quite a long time to get back. It would be manageable on a bike, but what if you either don't have a bike or the route is not safe to ride, or maybe you don't know how to ride a bike? That combination of circumstances then makes it impossible for that person to travel actively. Another example is a lot of our paths, a lot of our routes are for walking, wheeling, and cycling. They aren't suitable for everybody. So if you push a buggy, or if you're a wheelchair user, or you ride an adapted bike, or maybe you've got a bike that's got a trailer on the back full of dogs or children, some of these routes are just not appropriate. So they might be too narrow. There might be stairs with no alternative way of getting over whatever the stairs are getting over. So this affects quite a large portion of people. And it's obviously restricting the way that they are able to travel and the choices that they have in terms of how they get to places. So in this example, this person lives in a place that has great access to everything. You can always travel actively, everything's quite close by. However, at night, the paths and the routes that they use aren't lit at all. So because of that, they don't feel safe traveling on those routes at night because either they might crash into a tree, or it might be that it attracts certain people to hang out there and they don't feel safe going about with those other people. And the final one I'm going to mention here for our physical barriers is helmets. So helmets are traditionally designed for white men with short hair. And so if you have afro hair, a hijab, or wear your hair in a ponytail, finding a helmet that fits you properly, because obviously we want them to be effective if we're wearing them, can be quite difficult, and often it's more expensive as well. So again, that's just an example of another group of people, a large group of people being discriminated against and having more barriers than others in terms of accessing active travel. Jamie, were there any others that you saw there whilst I was chatting that we haven't really mentioned?
Even if the routes are available, they're next to really polluting roads, which is tough. Even things like we've got dog poo and litter makes paths not nice to use. So even if the infrastructure is there or the paths there are barriers, and like you sort of mentioned that with the access and things like that. But really good points from from people. We've got in Carbridge snowy weather in winter and ice because they live in the Cairngorms.
Of course.
You know, disrupts a lot. Councils and things will clear roads, but they're very unlikely to clear cyclepaths.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really good specific points from everyone.
Brilliant. So all these things that we've spoken about, and I think most of the examples as well that you've given have all related to like a physical barrier, like a physical reason for people not being able to travel actively. But for a lot of people, the biggest thing that stops them from traveling actively isn't the physical barriers, it's actually psychological barriers. Now, that's quite a big long word, but what I mean by that is the kind of expectation of people and what and the society that we live in. So if you look at this picture, and this was taken from the BBC quite a few years ago now, but it's still very much relevant today. It says the headline is "Rise of the Mammals, the Middle-Aged Men in Lycra." So Lycra's that sort of skin tight, sporty stuff. And I'm going to speak a wee bit more specifically about cycling here. But a lot of the time when we think of cycling or we ask people to think about cycling, this is the sort of thing they're picturing. They're picturing Tour de France, they're picturing the Olympics and the velodrome. And a lot of people think, well, cycling is a sport rather than a way of getting from one place to another. And therefore they think, well, that's for them. That's not for me. It's for those people over there. And because of that, a lot of people feel excluded. They don't feel like they can get involved in it because they think unless I'm cycling 100 miles a day, then there's no point in getting on a bike. And this has a real impact for a lot of people. And in Scotland specifically, we have a massive gender gap when pupils get to high school. So there are far fewer girls cycling than there are boys. And we've done some research into this and spoken to loads of teenage girls across Scotland, and they asked them to give us their reasons and their barriers. And the majority of the barriers were psychological or social barriers, because it was about how teenage girls are treated by society in terms of behaviours, expectations, and attitudes towards them, and them not feeling like it's a safe thing for them to do. And I don't necessarily mean that in terms of physical safety, just more that they are don't feel comfortable doing it without people judging them, for example. So these are there's lots of different barriers in terms of physical, psychological, and we've touched on a few different groups of people who are more affected than others. But there's loads and loads and loads, but won't get into every single one because we'll be here for quite a long time. But it's just an important thing to consider. Obviously, we're here talking about COP28, what we can do in terms of climate change. So one of the big things, especially bearing in mind the psychological barriers, is trying to encourage people and you know, making the world a bit of a kinder place, so that we can make it a welcoming place for everybody to feel like they can access active travel. So we've got a wee bit of time here, so we'll do a couple more school-based barriers. So those barriers we're talking about were kind of more wide-ranging, and some of you have already mentioned things like icy roads and things like that. But I've got just 4 barriers here, and then we're going to get onto our game. But for this first barrier, it's something that comes up quite often when we go into schools and speak to parents and things like that. And quite often they'll say it's not safe or the roads are too busy. I wonder if you guys can think of any solutions to this and pop them in the chat.
We definitely need a countdown clock, Ali.
I know, I was thinking. Do, 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 do.
Oh, we've got a bike bus on
Oh,
Fridays.
brilliant.
That's
Love to hear
fantastic.
that.
You could take a longer but safer route.
Yep, all for that.
Segregated cyclepaths,
That's the
not
dream.
quiet streets.
Make more shortcuts.
Yeah, so better route planning maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. A lot of schools, towns are going to 20 mile an hour, which is making a bit of a difference. This isn't necessarily the solution because it requires people to change their habits first. But if more people travelled actively, there would be far fewer cars near the school in the morning and at home time. So it would be safer if everybody did it. But it's just getting that kind of eureka moment to change people's behaviours. So our next one. Whoever is dropping you off needs to then drive straight to work because they work quite far away. Wonder if there's any solutions you can think of for this one.
And remember, like Ali said, there's no real right or wrong solutions. It depends a lot on the situation that you're in and things like that. So it'd be good to hear different solutions which could all potentially work.
Yeah, drop off and walk here. So like a park and stride.
Yeah. Walk by yourself or with a friend, yeah.
Parents could cycle to work. Or walk by yourselves and meet up with a friend. Yeah, so that's similar ideas to what we'd thought. So you could walk or cycle or scoot with somebody else who travels actively, maybe. Or like you say, park and stride, park and ride. Brilliant ideas. So our next one, it's too far to walk, scoot, or cycle. So some of the solutions to the previous one are probably quite relevant to this one, I think, as well. So if it's too far, you maybe don't live in the same town as your school, especially if you're living a wee bit more rurally. Electric bikes, that's a good idea. I think you have to be 15 though for the highway code to ride them. And they're quite heavy. But we kind of went along the park and stride route. So if you do live a bit further away, is there somewhere on the edge of town, or maybe there's a leisure centre or a library or something like a church maybe where you could park and then stride or ride if you've got your bike or scooter with you. And then, like somebody mentioned already, you could start a bike bus or a walking or a scooter bus or a wheeling bus. Yeah.
Sorry, Ali, just to highlight as well, I think Miss McLean Shaw mentioned it for the last one, where it was, essentially to carpool so that you could all get in the car together. So some of your situations might not be possible just yet to use a bike or something like that. But even if we're talking about sort of carbon emissions and stuff, if 4 of you are in a car getting dropped off by one car as opposed to 4 separate cars, that's still, an improvement and a great first step if that's your what you feel like is your only option just now.
Absolutely.
So it's good to remember these options as well.
And it'll save money as well for whoever's doing the dropping off.
Absolutely.
So our last one, it's quicker to drive. Has anybody got any sort of counter arguments or counter thoughts on this one? Oh, shinty. Amazing. I'd love to play shinty. So start off early, yeah.
Sounds so simple, doesn't it? Just leave earlier. Harder to get out of bed though. Yeah.
Go a bit faster, wake up earlier, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so a few people highlighting similar things there. We had similar thoughts. So often, especially at the moment, where not everybody is traveling actively or able to travel actively, quite often there's a lot of what we would call congestion, so like traffic jams outside the schools in the mornings at pick up and drop off times. So when you factor in, getting in the car, packing everything up, getting stuck in traffic, then trying to find somewhere to park that's safe, it doesn't always end up being quicker. Obviously, if you live 5 towns away, you're going to have to cover some of the distance by car. But if you're only a mile away, it's often quicker just to walk or scooter cycle. So now I need to get my special game show host hat on because we are going to play Active Travel Monopoly. So you should all have a dice, hopefully, for your class, and a designated scorekeeper. So it's 1 dice per class. And how we're going to play is we're going to give you a series of scenarios. And for each scenario, you're going to have to roll the dice. So don't roll it until I say. When you do roll the dice, if you roll an even number, so 2, 4, or 6, an even roll will get you 2 points. If you roll an odd number, 1, 3, or 5, you don't get any points and you will have to do a forfeit. If you roll a 6, you get a bonus point, so 3 points for a 6, 2 points for a 2 or a 4. And the class who has the most points at the end of the game will win a free doctor bike session. If there is a draw, like if there's classes who have the same amount of points, then we have a tiebreaker question. So do not fear. Oh, Jamie's got his dice ready.
Here's one I made last night.
Jamie's going to be doing his the forfeits along with you.
I'm going to win. What are you talking about?
So if you are ready, maybe if you turn your cameras on if you can and give yourself a big shake and wave your hands around in there, let us know that you are ready to go. And Jamie, you can give me the nod if you think everyone's ready.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We've got time warning from Kat.
Okay, scenario 1. You need to leave for school, but it's raining. If you roll an even number, you put a jacket on, or you take a brolly, or you pack some dry clothes to get changed into. If you roll an odd number, you get in the car. The forfeit for this one, if you roll an odd number, if you can, stand up, spin around 5 times, and sit down. Roll your dice now. Oh, number 1, Jamie, you need to go and do a forfeit. One more time.
Oh.
I think you only spun around 4 times there, Jamie.
Oh.
Okay, we'll move on to scenario 2. Remember to keep a track of your scores. So in this scenario, you need to choose a route. If you roll an even number, you'll take a slightly longer route, but it's traffic free. If you roll an odd number, you'll have to walk next to a busy road with loads of puddles ready to tidal wave you. So the forfeit for this one, if you roll an odd number, if you're wearing a jumper or a hoodie or a cardigan, turn it around so it's back to front. Roll your dice now.
Oh.
Lots of people struggling with their jumpers, I'm sure. Okay, here we go. Scenario 3. You need to cross a road, but there's loads of parked cars blocking your view. If you roll an even number, you'll walk further down to where there aren't any cars blocking your view of the road, and you'll cross when it's safe. If you roll an odd number, you peek out from between the cars and run across when it's not safe to cross. So the forfeit for this one, if you roll an odd number, you're going to have to tap your head and rub your belly until you next roll an even, or until the game ends, whichever it is first.
I hate this game.
It's almost like it's a fix, Jamie, getting all these odd numbers. Okay, so keep rubbing your belly and tapping your head until you get an even number. And our final scenario, it's winter. You've been to the after school club, and when you come out, it's getting dark. If you roll an even number, you'll choose the well-lit path. And if you roll an odd number, you'll take the path with no streetlights and you'll step in dog poo. And very appropriately, my dog just decided to do a wee sick noise there. So hopefully you didn't hear that. The forfeit for this one is if you roll an odd number, you have to, whilst trying to touch your nose with your tongue, say hello and introduce yourself to the person sitting beside you. Roll your dice now. Okay.
Hi, Ali.
What's your name?
Hi, my name's Jamie.
Okay, so
Hi, Ali.
if you have scored 12 points, which is very, like that would be rolling 4 sixes, can you put your team's hand up? Or say in the chat.
If anyone's wondering, I got 0.
If you got 11 points, can you put your team's hand up? Again, that would be a mega score. 10 points, put your team's hand up. 9 points, put your team's hand up. No, okay, this is gonna get more
Or yeah,
likely.
you could put your points in the chat, your total points, and we can have a look. If
Did
you don't know where
anybody
the
get
raise hand
8
button.
points? Because I've seen someone with 7
8
points.
points.
Okay,
McLean
so
Shaw.
if there's more than one with 8 points, that we'll go to the tiebreaker. But if it's just that,
Oh, we got 2.
2 8-pointers. Okay, so our tiebreak question, the answer is going to be a number, and it's going to be to 1 decimal point. And what we would like you to do is to get as close as possible to that number. If you both have the same guess, the same number, then whoever answered quickest will be the winner. So is it just 2 schools or 2
Yeah,
groups
Miss
who've got 8
McLean
points?
Shaw's class and Mrs. McFadden.
Okay, are you ready? Your question is coming up now. So according to the Hands Up Scotland survey, what percentage of pupils travelled actively to school in 2022?
Perfect for a countdown clock.
I know. Almost in sync there.
Doesn't work when you've got a mirror ball for a hat. 50%.
Okay, and
14.8%.
That's quite negative. I can reveal that the answer was 49.4%, so 50% was very, 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 very close. So who was that, Jamie? Can you see?
Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Mrs. McFadden's class. But well done, everyone, like Kat says.
Yep, well done, and we'll be in touch with you, Miss McFadden, to organise the Dr. Bike session. So Jamie, I'm going to pass back to you.
Yeah.
For a wee
so we're just gonna finish up now, folks, and we're gonna finish on one last sort of poll that we did earlier. So remember, it was how do you travel to school now? But what I'm going to finally ask you is how do you want to travel to school? So right now, I did my calculations while Ali was doing her thing. And what we found out was about 70% of the pupils on this lesson travel to school actively. So that's either by walking, wheeling, or cycling. Only 2% get the bus and 28% take the car. Okay, so there's a lot of options. We've discussed, Ali with you has discussed the barriers, and we've discussed some solutions. Okay, so we're just going to finish there. So maybe do it again with your class once we're finished and see if there's any changes from your numbers that you find. Okay, we're going to move on just to the very last slide. that's okay, Ali, because I know the teachers are moving on. So we don't need to go over this because I think everybody's all well and good on what they've done, and we don't need to go over that. But we'll go to, you go to the final slide, Ali, or the second final slide, sorry.
This one or the next one?
The next one, sorry. So we're just going to finish there, folks. And this is just to let you know we've got some other live lessons to come. No specific dates yet, but if these interest you at all, please feel free to let us know and we can get you all signed up. And we've got a survey, which I'm just going to put in the chat. If the teachers have a chance to do it, that would be fantastic. I've just stuck it in the chat. I just want to say from both Ali and myself and Sustrans, this might sound a bit ridiculous because I've got a hoodie almost going over my face right now, but we've had a great time. And I hope you've been able to learn something from this, and hopefully you can take something that you've learned from this and apply it into your real world situation. So thank you very much. And we'll pass you back to Kat.
Thank you, Jamie and Ali. That was great. Thank you so much for your presentation today and for your really fun game. Jamie, I'm so sorry you had to do all the forfeits. That wasn't very nice. I just wanted to say that we know not all of you are necessarily working towards an EcoSchools Green Flag Award, and if you're not, you should. But if you are, and if you're inspired by the work that Sustrans was talking about today and what they do as an organization, then maybe this is what your action plan could look like for transport or for health and well-being, or even for climate action. There's lots of different topics that fit their work, and so do lots of the different sustainable development goals. So for example, you could conduct a travel survey, you could get in touch with SEPA or your local authority to check if you could borrow air quality monitors to measure pollution near your school. You could have an assembly to share the results of the surveys that you do. You could create a green wall with bushes or trees around your school to filter air, which I think is a very cool project. In the resource folder that has been shared with teachers, we have a survey for barriers to active travel, and that's cycling, wheeling, and walking. We have a survey for traffic outside your school to see what kinds of traffic and how much pass your school every day, which can be a useful exercise if you'd like to create traffic calming, or think about possibly asking your local authority to lower the speed limit on roads near your school if they haven't been already. And we also have a public transport map activity, which is kind of fun because it looks at the public transport routes in and around your school and where you can go using trams, buses, subways, ferries, and trains. Just like Sustrans, we have a series of live lessons coming up, so you'll want to have a look at theirs for sure. And also here are ours. Our next one is in January, after the Christmas break. And it's with our friends at Ash Scotland, all about the effects on our health and the environment of vaping. So that's exciting. That's a new topic for us. We also have Sustainable Living Week, which is a whole week of lessons coming up from the end of January. And in February, we'll welcome our friends from the Scottish Fair Trade Forum for a lesson about our Fair Trade Nation. You can register for these the same way you did on for this one on our website at keepscotlandbeautiful.org/ecoschools/live lessons. Sustainable Living Week will feature our friends from all of these organizations. It's our first annual Sustainable Living Week. We're hoping to do this every year now. And this year we'll be joined by many guests from many exciting organizations, some of which we haven't heard from before. It will focus on circular economy, the impacts of fast fashion, and we'll have many ideas on how we can turn the tide towards a more sustainable relationship with our clothing. We always like hearing from you, so if you're working on anything related to transport, or you're keeping up with COP28 or any of your other work for EcoSchools or sustainable development education, we'd love to hear from you. You can say hello. You can find us on social media at KSB Scotland on most platforms, and you can always email us at ecoschools@keepscotlandbeautiful.org. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Jamie and Ali, for your time today and for a great lesson. And well done to the school that won our competition today. Hope to see you again very soon, but that's all we have for today. So bye for now.
Thanks
Bye
for
all.
having us.
Thanks. Bye bye.